Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. We're going to talk about the people who decided to do this and go over to Ukraine because they thought they could go and be operators fighting for liberty in the streets of Ukraine. So we're going to go and delve into why it's all a bunch of bullshit. Yesterday, I saw some news, let's call it that, about people who decided to go over and fight in Ukraine, and suddenly they're discovering that war ain't all that fucking glorious. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, because it seems a lot of people, due to, again, propaganda and people pulling at the heartstrings and wanting to do something, right? Feeling like I can do something, or I want to do something. That's why we saw foreign fighters in like Syria, also in Libya before that. So this isn't exactly a new thing that's happening, but I want to bring attention to it here, considering how many people are pushing for, an escalation of war with Ukraine in terms of potentially leading to World War III with a no-fly zone. See my previous video about that, but also just a lot of people wanting to go overseas to whatever, kill Russians, kill fascists, kill communists, and but basically a get out of a murder charge for free kind of stint overseas, right? That's what a lot of people are hoping for and doing. And I'm here to kind of bring some reality and levity to that situation, because a lot of people don't realize what this means and how real that shit actually gets. Now, again, not speaking from experience here, I am not military nor ex-military. Now, the problem though is that I do know a lot of people who are military or ex-military, as well as seeing testimony online from former combat veterans and stuff like that. The universal theme is that war is a goddamn racket and you should not participate in it unless it is absolutely necessary. So the Ukrainians having to defend their homeland, completely understandable. People wanting to show up and think that they're going to be like fucking spec ops. That's not the reality of the situation. You are going to a foreign country where you probably don't speak the language. So that's barrier number one. Number two, shit rolls downhill, right? So if you think you're going there and suddenly they're going to be like, oh yeah, come over here, American who's done a bunch of plinking at a range before. Yeah, you're going to be part of a new elite sniper unit, or you're going to be part of our, spec ops new battalion that we're creating, or you're going to be part of this brand new division that's going to be, running intel on Russian positions and stuff like that. No, that's not what you're going to be doing. You are going to be doing the fucking bottom tier shit that people don't want to do. But since you're the new guy and you don't really speak the language and know what's going to be said, you're going to do the jobs that no one wants to do. You're going to dig latrines. You're going to fill sandbags. You're going to have to clean out latrines. You are going to have to do all the terrible, shitty supply and logistics based jobs initially. And that's even saying a lot depending on your, language barrier and culture barrier, right? You're going to be, for the most part, a laborer. You're not going to be suddenly, oh yeah, here we go on the front line with like $6,000 or more worth of kit, and I'm gonna go and kill some Ruskies or kill some fascists or communists or whatever the boogeyman in your head is, right? That's not how shit actually works. And instead, a lot of people are getting really violent and distressing shocks to their system, like this guy. Yes, I was here today and blown off the top bunk of my bunk bed in the barracks by the first missile. I made a long post about it, but my posts don't show on this thread for some reason. This is where all the foreign Legion troops are. The 35 killed were all Ukrainian, mostly due to a direct hit on their barracks next to mine. The base is destroyed. The weapons depot destroyed. Possibly the end of the Legion. About 60 people with their heads on straight, including myself, left after the attack. They're sending untrained guys to the front with little ammo and shit AKs, and they're getting killed. The guys who stayed got bombed again in the afternoon, and casualties aren't clear. If you still want to join them, I'm not sure what the process will be, since literally all the infrastructure supporting the training/assignments of volunteers is all destroyed. The guys who are there now will all be going to Kiev, and many will die. The Legion is totally outgunned and has a few crazy Ukrainian leaders. After the attack, one officer wanted to march everyone to Kiev and fight. Absolute insanity. stay home. Yeah, this isn't exactly like going and playing cosplay in the fucking desert and suddenly finding out, oh, wait a second, they actually have like drones and armaments and they can strike from thousands of miles away with the push of a goddamn button. A barracks and a weapons depot were just annihilated off the face of the earth with a casual click of a button. These guys didn't get to, do the glory stuff, right? And instead they got, a rude awakening as to the absolute banal horror that is modern warfare. And in case it wasn't clear, that's a person who left, right? So shit got serious, even though we went to go to like, yeah, I'm gonna fight for liberty. And then shit got a little too real, a little too quickly for this person. And so now he's basically deserted. Or, well, sorry, no, he didn't desert. Instead, this is his explanation. Didn't you guys sign paperwork or contracts? What are the consequences for desertion if caught? Kind of sad to see so many Western combat vets desert at first contact. And the OP replies to that saying, yes, but the contracts are just a formality. You can leave whenever. And I wouldn't phrase it like that. These boys have been in plenty of contact. If you don't have the tools for the job and your leadership is clearly failing, it's not all that unbelievable people would walk away instead of being less into failure. I'm assuming they mean led into failure. And yeah, hi, welcome to the actual rules of fucking combat. Unfortunately, the military isn't a democracy. And so unfortunately, if your leader and your commander is calling for some really unhinged shit, you're unfortunately going to have to deal with that unhinged shit, as we've seen time and time again throughout the entire history of goddamn warfare. And also, I want to stress something that at least sticks out to me. Again, no idea how verifiable it is, but I find it interesting how it says, oh, these guys saw plenty of contact, but they also mentioned in the previous iteration that this was like for training and they were in a bunk bed. So like, what, did they ship you out to the front and then waste time and money and logistics to send you back to safety, which still got bombed? Like, it's unclear, right? And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, just putting that out there. So these are the kind of people that are going over with a certain idea in mind about what they think war is going to be like and what this kind of war is going to be like. And they're going there with idealistic intentions rather than recognizing the full brutality of what is actually being asked of them. And it's leading to, stories like that. And we're going to come back to that. But also what this means is that in a great many ways, like, sure, like, I mean, both Fifth Column did a great video talking about how this could actually potentially be a great way for actual former, special forces like SAS. We're talking like Green Berets, ex-Marines who want to get back into the fight for whatever reason. You can have all kinds of people who actually have combat experience show up and kind of know what's expected of them and what to expect. And they can, if they're ever captured, they just say, oh, no, I'm not actually like, a Western force here. I'm just a volunteer. I just happen to be ex-Western force, right? And so that's a great, legal barrier to trying to say, oh, NATO's sending troops and training and operators, right? So there's that workaround. But unfortunately, you're also getting a lot of people who don't understand Opsec, operational security. The general idea is that there's a lot of people who may be well-intentioned, but intention doesn't win war. And unfortunately, they're making very grave and oftentimes deadly mistakes. On a similar Reddit thread, because this was all pulled and like sources in the description down below, I got this from someone on Twitter who was sharing this from a subreddit of like, foreign volunteers in Ukraine. The context behind what I'm about to show you is someone pointing out that you shouldn't bring cell phones to a goddamn war zone for a variety of reasons. But here are the very brave people deciding to go over and fight alongside Ukrainians, explaining why it's totally fine. Don't speak Ukrainian. There are translation phone apps now that seem pretty good. Phones are terrible in conflict zones for Opsec. Not true. Use a burner or change your plan to international, or just delete everything off your phone and keep it in airplane mode. A lot of people have brought cell phones to war. Opsec lol, what are you carrying top secret government info? You think some fucker gives a shit about your Tinder profile or Instagram posts? The issue is that a phone is essentially a device that sends out signals. An enemy can set up mobile masts and triangulate the positions of phones sending out signals. I mean, yeah, how often is Russia doing that? We don't really know. General rule of thumb though, don't bring a fucking GPS that someone else can easily hack to a fucking war zone. And again, right, touching on Opsec, people trying to show, look, see the good fight. We're trying to give you hope and optimism and the good old propaganda. It's resulting in unfortunate stories like this. Shared by Ukrainian army soldier on his Facebook, military briefing before going to battle against the invaders. And look, about 100 or so people getting ready to take the fight to the Russians. And as some people were very quick to point out in the replies, OP, delete this, you idiot. Every Ukrainian in this school is dead. That could be because it was posted to Facebook. Maybe it was happen chance. Or maybe it's because you posted their location on Reddit, you idiot. This school was attacked not long after your post. You could have just killed these people. I doubt it, but your behavior has made that a possibility. And then there's a few other replies, and then someone shows like a different link saying, look at this, you bastard. Don't be a smartass and stop showing locations. Yeah. Because unfortunately, a lot of people who have brought their cell phones to war in order to help with the language barrier and to, stay in contact with people and try and do look, see, we're fighting the good fight, just hashtag Ukraine strong, fighting from the front lines of the Kiev suburbs. Like, this is a problem because the actual intelligence wing of the Russians and their allies and their supporters, they can use that to find out where you're posting this from. And to get an idea, even at least superficially, of troop numbers, strength, morale, how much fucking ammo you have or don't have, your location, so that they can call in an artillery or a missile strike. It is so fundamentally fucking stupid. And I'm a civilian and I understand this. But unfortunately, a lot of people who, again, maybe have the best of intentions at heart, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions, am I right? People may be dead because of the Facebook posts or Reddit posts of a bunch of people thinking that they're doing good by posting that stuff online freely for Russian operatives to pick up. A lot of this BS is so beautifully encapsulated in this terribly drawn comic. There must be some mistake. I planned on liberating Ukrainian towns like an operator. Dig the fucking hole! Yeah, that really just sums up everything here so goddamn unfortunately. People, again, with the best of intentions of, what, I can't sit idly by Russian imperialism and aggression feeling entitled to Ukraine. I will not stand for these poor Ukrainians, and they said they need help. Well, you know what, I have the means, I have the money, I have, kit and everything. I'm gonna go and, help them out in the name of liberty. And then if you're not doing basic bitch training, or if you're not doing stuff like filling up sandbags, cleaning out latrines, doing supply runs, and basic entry-level stuff like that, because again, you don't speak the language, so a Ukrainian captain or a colonel or whoever trying to explain in detail the plan of resistance, you're not going to understand that, and it's going to take a lot of time for the translator to translate that to you, so you're going to get it secondhand and probably at a later date. And it's kind of just meat for the meat grinder in a lot of cases. And it's all just so unfortunate because people who wanted to do good, right? And they're trying to post that uplifting stuff. It's potentially getting other people killed, getting them, their comrades, Ukrainians, whether they're military or civilian, killed. It's irresponsible. And all for fucking what? Internet clout? And I know there are some people who are watching this and thinking, oh, but these are just Reddit posts. This could obviously be fake. And yeah, that is a possibility. Brings us to the day before yesterday's video about, we're not immune to propaganda. And so there's numerous ways and things we can do to help kind of cut through the fog of war, as it were. But there was this video that kind of potentially corroborates some of these stories.
Any of y'all who are wondering what is going on, alright? We were part of the Georgia National Legion, the 102nd Ukrainian Territorial Defense. Okay? Our base got fucked up. The base right next to us got fucked up. Americans, British, tons of British dead. Alright? They're not saying nothing. They're counting our dead as their dead. They're trying to send us to Kiev with no fucking weapons, no kit, no fucking plates. The people who are lucky enough to get weapons are only getting magazines with like 10 fucking rounds, okay? When they wanted to send us to Kiev, we said no. Our whole group, a bunch of Americans, Canadians, British. So they told us we had to get the fuck out or they were going to shoot us in the back, alright? So me, this British guy, and another American, we fucking hid in the back of an ambulance to get out. We got to the border, and it was a whole nother mess. When you get to the border, anyone who has kit, anyone who has any military shit, they're fucking pulling you out of the line and they're sending you back to the front. We got dropped off about 5 clicks from the fucking from the border, and we walked. And we get to the border, and this humanitarian group with a bunch of ex-SF veterans from England pull us to the side and say, you need to get, like, pulled us out and fucking, like, hit us. And they were like, you need to dump all your kit. They're pulling people out, cutting up passports, sending them back. So we dumped our shit. We got, like, in all of our fucking, we got in, like, Red Cross vests, and they had, like, fucking humanitarian passes to get us through the Ukrainian border. People need to stop coming here. It's a trap, and they're not letting you fucking leave. The best way to leave is like in a Vic or a car or something. People who get on by vehicle have a better chance of hiding their fucking kit in the back, doing whatever the fuck they can, but do not try to leave Ukraine on foot if you're a volunteer. It's a mess, and it's a trap, and I have multiple people who can confirm this story for me.
So they're openly admitting to what amounts to desertion and how they had to do it. And with the barracks being destroyed and they're not counting the numbers and saying, oh, you know, this is a little too real. You shouldn't come here. And that's really the unfortunate moral, if you want to call it that here. Propaganda from Ukraine and just the actual reality of the situation of Ukraine being the victim of Russian aggression, that is just really pulling at the heartstrings of people who want to do something about it. And so they're joining the foreign battalions or legions and like different brigade groups and whatever it may be, right? I've even heard rumor that there have been so many Canadians joining up that they gave them their own division. Still trying to corroborate that. But it shows that there's a lot of people, hundreds if not thousands of people, who have felt compelled to go over and fight against the Russians for whatever reason, right? But a lot of people don't know what that fully entails. You're not just going around being like, yeah, we're on patrol, and maybe we get to shoot at some Russians, and, you know, have a little gunfight, and then the entire squad is wiped out in an artillery strike. The horrors of war. Like, there was someone who said at one point, and I forget who it was, but it was absolutely brilliant. War is like 95% of the time absolute mind-numbing boredom, and 5% of the time it is pants-shitting terror. And unfortunately, that terror happens so quickly and in such intensity, and then it's over, and you're expected to kind of just go back and do that again tomorrow like it's the most normal thing in the goddamn world. So a lot of people, for different reasons, have gone over to Ukraine, and suddenly they are finding out that shit is very much real. It's a real conventional war between two modern conventional armies. It's not just a little gunfight in like some desert hills or something like that. People can die in a moment and no one bats an eye, and others will say, no, we got to go to Kyiv to defend everything. And that's a little too real for some of these people who thought it would be kind of a cakewalk and they could get some internet clout and then come back and maybe run for Congress or Parliament or some fucking bullshit like that, while very real people are dying on both sides of this war. And unfortunately, the people bearing the brunt of this are civilians and regular working class people, whether it's there in Ukraine or in Russia because of the sanctions, or elsewhere in the West because of the crumbling of the economy and like gas prices and everything. Everyone is being affected except for the assholes who made this happen in the first place. And unfortunately, the people who went over there, sometimes with the best of intentions, sometimes with not, their lack of understanding of the cold, harsh reality of war is leading to further risk and death, and they aren't prepared for it. But it doesn't mean they don't have blood on their hands, especially of their fellow brothers in arms, because they thought this was a fucking video game or something. And again, it's the people who are truly responsible for this, who are not facing consequences. So all of this is just so incredibly depressing, and it shouldn't have to happen. But unfortunately it did, and it's going to continue to happen so long as people buy into this notion and the ideology and the propaganda and all the other horseshit that goes on behind the scenes, rather than keeping the focus on the actual bastards responsible for this. And it's also very irresponsible of the people who went over there expecting something other than war. You signed up for a war, and now some of them have even risked potential death of their comrades and other Ukrainians by talking about it openly on the internet for who knows whatever godforsaken reason. All of this is so deeply disturbing and unfortunate and unnecessary. And if you can't tell, it's definitely what's bothering me today.